straight away beginning with the news break that is coming in. This is from Tehran. A series of powerful blasts have rocked the Iranian capital again. In fact, this time the target seems to have been Iran's state broadcaster, the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, or the IRIB. The strikes interrupted IRIB's broadcast. Notably, this is not the first time that the Iranian state broadcaster has been targeted. It was struck during last year's 12-day war as well. The visuals that we will just put out of anchor Seher Imami having to flee after the building was struck was a prominent moment in last year's conflict. The IRIB has reportedly stated that its technical team is assessing the latest damage. So this is the latest that is coming in. State broadcasters headquarters that was attacked. This is it seems to have been Iran's state broadcaster, the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, IRIB, that has been attacked in these strikes. It was interrupted during its broadcast. And significant to note that this is definitely not the first time, and this is post the Israel-US strikes on Iran. So the visuals of anchor Seher Imami having to flee after the building was struck was a prominent moment in last year's conflict. For this attack, the one that has happened, the IRIB has stated that its technical team is still assessing the latest damage. We'll just go across to Yusuf Jalali, who's going to be joining us live from Tehran to get us the ground updates. For now, it's not yet known the extent of damage, but this is a statement that's been put out by the state broadcaster itself, saying that its team is still assessing the extent of damage. This is the same state broadcaster that was attacked during last year's 12-day war, and this time as well, it's been the center of the target. So, series of powerful blasts, the blasts that have rocked Iranian capital. In fact, this comes while Netanyahu has minced absolutely no words in saying that it will continue targeting Iran. In fact, it will be targeting the heart of Tehran, is a statement that was put out by the Israeli Prime Minister earlier. And this while Iran is also carrying out retaliatory strikes as we speak. Let's go across to Yusuf, who's joining us live from Tehran. Yusuf, that's a statement coming in from the state broadcaster that says that it has been attacked in these strikes. Anything that you're learning from your sources about the extent of damage as of now?
Well, of course, the IRIB came under an attack, and as far as we know, some buildings possessed by the IRIB, which is the Iranian state broadcaster, were targeted. The state broadcaster, of course, the IRIB is a sprawling area in northern Tehran, an area called Parkway. This is a very vast area, and different networks and different IRIB channels are located in that very same area. So we do not know yet which buildings and which channels have been targeted, but the IRIB's broadcasting was disrupted suddenly following that attack, and people had to resort to satellite broadcasting to try to follow the news from the IRIB news channel, which is called Shabake Khabar. Of course, yes. This is a night that experienced and witnessed severe airstrikes from different cities and towns across the country. The news is coming that severe bombardments targeting major military facilities, not just in the capital, Tehran, but across the country, even from provinces as far as Khuzestan, which house major IRGC facilities. And of course, it's a place where many of the Iranian oil companies and oil fields are located and positioned. So regarding the IRIB itself, it is now back on after a brief period of disruption. The broadcasting was cut off, and then it is now back online, and they are continuing their broadcasting normally.
Yes, so also Yusuf, talk to us about the general mood across Iran. While majority of Iranians, as we've seen in the visuals that have surfaced, they have been euphoric, they've been celebrating. But the mood definitely does not seem singular across Iran. Is there palpable fear also among Iranians over the strikes being carried out?
Well, of course, the general mood in Iran is nothing like universal or consistent. You can see mixed feelings and mixed reactions towards what is happening right now in Iran. Some people are welcoming these strikes, and some others, a significant number of people still believe that the Islamic Republic is a system that can steer the country out of this crisis. So the general mood is depending on which side of the political spectrum we're looking at. The pro-Islamic establishment ralliers have been engaged in staging rallies across the country since the news about the assassination of the Iranian supreme leader was confirmed by the IRIB itself. We can see a consistent and a steady flow of people, pro-Islamic establishment ralliers, taking to the streets, taking part in rallies and demonstrations, denouncing the incoming strikes and denouncing the assassination of their leader, and of course, expressing readiness to engage in a war against the United States. And two, of course, they're encouraging the IRGC to launch retaliatory strikes against the Americans.
Yes. Yusuf, also to mention here the statement that's coming in from the Iranian foreign minister. This is while he was speaking to a publication. In fact, this is while he was giving an interview to Al Jazeera. He said that Iran's armed forces are now independent and somewhat isolated, and that the attacks in Oman were not our choice. How is a chain in command operating at present? Is there more than what meets the eye in terms of the statement that's coming in from Iranian foreign minister?
Well, of course, when it comes to comments by the Iranian foreign minister, let me add this, that the Iranian foreign minister, as reported by Omani news channels and Omani media, has communicated a message to the United States expressing readiness to engage in dialogue once again right now amid the strikes, the back and forth between the two sides. And of course, this seems to be welcomed by Washington, by Donald Trump himself, who said that the Iranians are calling and are pushing for dialogue. And of course, he said that we should talk right now. It remains to be seen how this dialogue could be made, despite the fact, amid the fact, of course, that the two sides are engaged in a rather full-scale war right now. So it remains to be seen. But when it comes to comments about Iran's readiness to continue or turn this into a war of attrition for the United States, I believe that Iran is able to turn it into a war of attrition for the United States, to turn it into a prolonged conflict, which is not going to be in favor of the Americans.
Yes, Yusuf, I'll request you to stay on with us. We have back-to-back news breaks that is just coming in. Let's put out this breaking news that is coming in.